call this meeting in order. Welcome everybody to, it's Tuesday, October 22nd. This is the Merrill Tourism Commission and we are at the Merrill Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome everybody. Item number 2 is public comment. We have public comment. All right. I'll welcome Gary Schwartz to the Tourism Commission. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you.
Looking forward to working with you and picking your brain and your expertise. It's good to have a hotel room.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So thank you for serving. Item number 3, minutes from the previous meeting. Those were attached or sent out a couple of days ago. Thank you, Cheryl. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve them as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Then next we have 2025 budget discussion. We broke those into 2 categories, review budget and then our grant application. So I think what we'll do, if everybody is still okay with that, we'll ask that Clyde kind of summarize a wrap up on 2024. We'll go through the setup on 2025. Usually we like to do that first so that we are comfortable with the levels of funding that we're at according to our room tax allocations. That'll help us with our grant awards when we move forward. So
I'd be happy to.
thanks, Clyde.
Mr. Wendor. The first page was the actual budget to actual of 2024. It was anticipated to receive $105,000, and that was based upon estimates by the city on their approved budget previous when we met previously. That didn't come to fruition. It's going to be in the neighborhood of $86,000. Now, typically I've tried to do first, second, third, and fourth quarters in one year, but because of when the money comes in, it goes fourth, first, second, and third. Okay, and that's down at the bottom here. It's anticipated that the third quarter numbers would be approximately $30,000 paid into tourism. That's been the number in the last 2.5 years, 3 years. It's been that 30,000, 29,000, 30,000, 31,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I used the number of $30,000 to get us an idea where we're at with the checkbook balance at the end of the year. Everything has been dispersed with the exception of one grant that was applied for and approved, and that was the Black Squirrel Scurry. We have not received anything from Mr. Eichelkraut yet. We anticipate that to take place. So the checkbook balance forward as of 12/31/23 was $80,637. We paid out $97,781.63. Additional disbursement of $1,000. So the anticipated checkbook balance at the end of the year would be roughly $68,400, $68,391. Now, if you recall, when the budget came through, when you look at it, we've actually spent more money than what came in 2024 to the tune of roughly $11,240. So the checkbook balance was in that neighborhood of that $80,000 number, so it's going to be, that's that 68.4. So that's why it came down. Some of that reserve was used up in certain things. Now the trade shows, we had budgeted $7,900, but in my notes, it's reflective. We needed to register for 2025 trade shows, and we did that, and $2,400 was paid out of that. And then we also purchased a bunch of pens that were reasonably priced to give away at that time. So roughly $2,900 of that $12,300 was for 2025. We got to pay it in advance. Now, last year when we talked about this, we talked about having the Tourism Commission cover salaries of of the chamber when we went there, when we went to the trade shows. We didn't do that this year because of where the budget was located. So we just absorbed it into that $25,000 at administration and rent that we normally can. So we went to those trade shows in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. We were over in Eau Claire collaborating with Anago. We were at Green Bay at the North Central Tourism, and also at the State Fair. So we attended all of those shows and distributed all of our visitor guides. We ended up having printed off, I think it was 13,000 visitor guides this year, and we have 300 left. So we were able to distribute all 13,000 of them, which is a good thing. This next year, our plan is to include, when we get to that budget, the Duluth show. We've been told by individuals at the lacrosse show that Duluth is lacrosse on steroids, and it was very, very well attended in lacrosse. There might have been about 50,000 people there over the 4 days down in lacrosse, and they say Duluth is much more than that. So we'll be able to get the word out and about Merrill going forward.
Do you know approximately how much the chamber had to absorb for wages?
I didn't.
Approximately? No. Okay.
Well, each show, we're there for a period of about 10 to 12 hours each day. Iowa was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Cheryl and I were there along with my wife Wendy. La Crosse was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And that was Teresa and I were there the entire time. Madison was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Again, so that's 70. It's going to be some 80 hours in the weekends that we did. So.
And you worked up.
What's that? And in Eau Claire, I was over there one day in Eau Claire. And then at It Back in Green Bay, we ended up paying for Sarah's meal and for Dr. Kate Gress, who went over there to help with that. And that was for, was it half a day, Sarah? I think it was 3/4 of a day, something, or all day on a Saturday that they were there. And North Central Tourism, or It Back, is through Wisconsin Counties Association. Every county, there's 10 counties, 14 counties that are eligible. Lincoln County is one of them. They throw in $1,001 to this commission, and then we end up helping out with a website. Not we, but there's a website that's out there, and then we also attend the Green Bay show, and each county gets an opportunity to spend some time there if they want to. So we've signed up for it the last couple of years and handed out material there.
Good exposure.
It is. Lincoln County has helped us, collaborated with us and Tomahawk, the chamber there, and get those black bags, those tote bags that we ended up paying for. I think it was less than a third of the price because the county paid for the majority of the price, and then Tomahawk and Merrill Chamber split the other costs that we give out with our brochures, with our visitor guide. This year we're going to call it a destination guide, not a visitor guide. Okay, a little play on words. But all in all, when we look at it, we did well as far as the budget is concerned in anticipation of what was taking place. We actually spent roughly $10,000 less than what we had budgeted for that, which was, we're trying to monitor that so that we're not taking it down. What's that?
If you don't mind, I'm very pleased that the chamber is doing these shows. It's something that I've wanted for years, and we just couldn't get anybody to get excited about doing it. But I think they're outstanding for telling people what Merrill is and where it's at and what's going on here. So,
Thank you.
I'm all in favor of it.
Thank you. And what we've done this past year with these is we've approached local businesses to put together a giveaway package and had people register and sign up for our emails or sign up for our website and our newsletter and things of that nature. So we're trying to get the word out that way. The key to this is to get people to spend the night here, visit Merrill, whether it's at the campground, at council grounds, or Newwood, or at the hotels such as American or the Cobblestone. We just want them to come here and visit.
Get there, and then they will have to buy gas and something to eat. Just go downtown and see, geez, this is a nice little shop.
Yes.
You know, when you start visiting other little cities, small cities, I should say, the old mom and pop stores are slowly all going away, and we still have some of that small
Yes,
stuff going on. It's good.
it's important.
So that was for 2024. Let me back up a little bit. We knew we had some contingency funds available, and we helped, Tourism Commission helped finance some of the food truck palooza this past year. That's when to help bring that to the community, and that was a successful event. You want me to go into 2025 then? Or
Yes,
not?
yes, please, yes, 'cause
Okay.
that's gonna determine how we award.
So
our
we're
grants.
looking at starting with a checkbook balance of roughly $68,391. When we look at room tax collected, 4, 1, 2, and 3 of next year, I'm anticipating the number of 87,500, which has been consistent over the last number of years. That 87.5, 86, 87.5, $85,000. So if we take that number plus our checkbook balance, we have roughly $155,891 available to disperse. What you have in front of you underneath promote festivals and events, this is all of the applications that have been submitted, a total of $82,175. So if you're looking at us bringing in 87.5, the requests are for 82,175, so that's roughly $5,300 of the entire money collected from room tax to tourism. Not the whole thing, because the Tourism Commission receives 70% of the room tax. Park and Rec gets 3%, I think it is, or 30%, and the city gets, 55%, the city gets, whatever that number is, they get 30% split between the city and Park and Rec. And then down below are what I believe are going to be the expenses here at the chamber, unless you end up changing some things. Other promotion items of $1,000, trade shows of $12,500. I increased that because we're going up to Duluth. There'll be additional hotel costs and mileage costs associated with that. The visitor display literature. Out front we have, that's open 24/7. We got those wire racks. They become an issue this year, and we've had a couple of them welded up a number of times. So we're going to change that front room around. It's going to cost about $1,000, and they've decided that the chamber can split the cost with tourism on doing that. So it's going to be about $1,000. Half of that cost would be the responsibility of tourism. We're going to put racks up in there so that we can just slide the stuff into instead of having to twist around, and making that a little bit more inviting out there. Contingency, it's been there for a long time. Conferences, that's for the Wisconsin Governor's Conference on Tourism. We usually send one or two individuals down there. I think this past year we sent 2 down there. It was if I'm not mistaken, Sarah went to Wisconsin Dells. Teresa went down to Wisconsin Dells. That cost the hotel room plus mileage and meals that are down there. And then additional advertising. We advertise in a number of different magazines around through Plus Publications and things of that nature, and that's that number that we could spend this next year. The administration and rent, which is our cost to manage everything that we've got here and attend these different shows, of $25,000, and then marketing support. Our plan is to change our phone system around here, and it could happen in the second quarter of next year, and our phone bill will be cut in half. So that's why you see that number from $1,200 down to $800. And then the other cost, postage, that's when we send out guides and other information to people that request it through North Central Tourism website, through our website, when we get our guides, we send them out to other chambers. That's the cost of doing that part of it. And then the website and computers, we updated our website this year. Our cost is a little higher than what it has been in the past, but we left that number the same in previous years. So if everything on here is approved, we're gonna spend $144,000. You're gonna spend $144,275. It'll drop the checkbook balance down by down $56,000. We'll have a remaining balance in there of roughly $12,000. But you need to decide on, Mr. Windorf, on what needs to go forward here.
You guys do.
Okay, all of the commission.
How much do we like to keep for a buffer? Or have we traditionally kept for a buffer?
Well, it built up to $80,000 because of COVID, okay? I can't answer that from years previous. Do you know? Has there been one?
Offhand, I don't know, but I thought we were always we tried to be in at least that 15, Cheryl, correct me, for 15 to 20-ish.
Yeah.
In case something should come up.
Correct. It is the
To
same.
allow, yeah, and Clyde and I talked about this a little bit yesterday too. If there is a unique opportunity that surfaces in the middle of the year, we have enough flexibility to say yes, let's do it. A few years ago, Discover Wisconsin had an open slot, wasn't it, Cheryl? Remember they wanted to, wherever they were going to do some promo stuff and shooting fell through, and they contacted us, and I think as fate would have it, we had enough funding available, but they wanted $5,000 or $8,000.
Right, I think we should keep a buffer at between that, a minimum.
Yeah, I would agree.
A minimum, so.
And there are opportunities that I talked to Mr. Windorf about this yesterday too, to go out and research and have influencers or writers come and speak that have million followers or whatever the number of followers they're at, to come and have an agenda here in Merrill for a day or two and write about a couple of different things, and then and see what happens with that. And those cost money. I don't know what the numbers are right now. We'd have to do some research to find
Good
out.
exposure, and it may not be, you have to plant the seed. You know, it may not happen the next year, but 2 years ago, because they heard it, well, now it's an opportunity that we can do this now.
If we don't find somebody to write and toot our own horn, nobody's going to do it for
Correct.
us.
Correct.
So, you have to determine what kind of a checking account balance you want going forward in the next year, and then adjust accordingly.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Nelson.
You're welcome, Mr. Winter.
All right, so does anybody have any questions for Clyde / Mr. Nelson on budget?
We're fine.
As
Oh, and I'm sorry.
fire away.
Forgot one thing. Under item number 5 there, the contingency, I've got on there for $1,500. We have talked to Mr. Califas from Merrill House of Music, come up with I think it's a 60-inch TV, along with a stand and things of that nature, so that when we're at the trade shows, we can plug in video of the area. Lincoln County had Discover Wisconsin. I know the city of Merrill has some things, I think they do, and maybe we have some video of the Council Ground State Park, but we want to put that into a roll, keeps running around, so we get people to stop by and look at those types of things. The cost of that is roughly $2,100, and I'm proposing that the chamber pay for half of it and the other half come from tourism in that contingency.
I think that system would be outstanding for what you're doing.
I think so too.
Okay, any other questions before we dive in? All right, if there are none, let's get started on this here. So what, just for those that are watching on the recording or here for first time in a while, what we normally try to do, and this is again up to you guys if you want to do it this way, is we'll go through in order as they're listed, and what we've done in the past is instead of making individual motions on each one of the grant applications, we do a suggested amount. And we do that so that we can remain flexible throughout. We'll get to the end and we'll have an overall number that we can then use to compare to our budget so that we don't put the cart before the horse, so to speak. When we're all done, we'll have a chance to kind of go back through, make any other adjustments that might be needed depending on what kind of a contingency that we want to leave, and then we can make what would end up being 2 final motions. I think we could do 1 or 2, but it's cleaner to do 2, I think. But the one would be for the grant funds that we will agree to disperse, and then that gets put into a final 2025 budget. So is everybody still okay with that? Sorry for the over-explaining. Okay. So hearing that, let's jump right in here. The first one on this sheet right here that I have is Lions Car Show. So looks like Lions is requesting $1,400.
I think it's in your package or somewhere.
You okay? Last year they asked for 1,500, were granted 1,200 and spent 1198.9, so they used just about all of it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they've been a long time applicant. The one thing I had a chance to look through these pretty carefully, but I know we say this once in a while, it would be nice to encourage them to advertise a little differently or expand their horizons, because this looks like a carbon copy of the year before, the year before, the year before. They do color creations, which is those cards that they hand out.
Yep.
They do a bulk mail, and Midwest Communications, which is
That was new.
Yeah, and that's all right too.
Yeah, that Midwest Communications was new. Usually they did print ads.
Yep. So just a thought I had, and there's a number of these in here as we go through that.
And there was some talk about them dropping that as a Lions activity. Is that something they're discussing?
You mean not doing it?
Yeah.
Not to my knowledge. No, I talked to several of them recently, and
Last year was the highest car count they've had.
yes, and actually the last 5 years they've gone from a solid number of 150 up to 250, or to 250 to almost 300. The year before was actually higher; they had 300 some.
And they didn't have any around
When it first started out, it was like 130 cars.
Yes.
It was slowly growing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's one of their main fundraisers. That's a good day for them.
And Mrs. Scogg's comment here, last year they didn't have any of Mr. Nicholas's cars in the car show, so these were actual, from outside the area that they're coming in.
Yeah, no, it was their second highest ever, and that is without 45 to 60 vehicles right off the bat that
Yep.
are normally entered.
It'd be fun if they would turn over where the cards came from. If the Lions would, I'm sure they've got that information when somebody signs in.
Oh yeah.
And if you could get that information, you can see where vehicles are coming from.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not sure how important it is, but
Yeah, I know when we stick around for handing out the trophies, it's always neat to hear. They always say Happy Saval from Minneapolis or whatever. There's a lot of different cities and areas represented, but yeah, that'd be good statistical. That'd be nice for them to share with us of the range of where they're.
How far out they come from.
Yeah. So I guess as we go, if anybody has a strong feeling one way or another, you want to pitch a suggestion, once we have consensus, we can at least scratch it in and go from there. Everyone okay with 1,400?
I kind of think this one makes sense. I agree with what you were saying with it kind of being, it would be nice to see them expand, and I thought that as I read pretty much every one. Most of them are doing the same thing, and I guess we don't define what local is either. When we say outside of the local area, we don't define as Tomahawk outside of the area, or as not Milwaukee outside of the area. Like where's our? We don't say so. Well, we wish that would happen. I'm not sure it's a deal breaker, and this is not such a huge amount of money that it doesn't make sense to keep them coming and keep this one going.
Yeah. And that's a good point you bring up too, because I don't think state statute wise, they don't define local anyway either, so it would just be up to us. We can't make people do that, but again, the premise is to put heads in the bed, so, you know, somehow we would encourage them to, however we define local being, get out just beyond our
normal reach of the wilderness.
yeah, or, you know, get one county beyond the next county or something. But yeah,
And that said, you don't want to lose local audience either.
Not at all.
Because if you don't have enough of the critical mass to run the event from the local audience, nobody's going to come from farther away. So
starts with that.
this one makes sense to me. I didn't see anything that would raise any red flags about not wanting Print to do it.
Agreed. Everybody okay with 14? Okay, I'll write that one in. Okay, next we have Lincoln County Fair. And in 2024, they requested 16,000, were granted 16,000, spent 16,000. This year, they are asking for 20,000. Again, so what is this, 140th that I see?
That's correct.
140th
That is correct.
year.
So,
This is, has to be our longest standing event in Merrill, period.
Correct. And people in Merrill planned their class reunions and their family reunions. We're still closing up, and last day, when's the fair going to be? When's it? Because we want to plan. You know, we are having our family reunion
Yep.
and our class reunion. So it's not the people necessarily. They're coming because of the fair, but they're coming because of other things to do. But the main reason is the fair is now. We want to see all our friends at the fair, and we have it all the time. When's the next fair date? This last year we went out and did a billboard. We tried something different. I think we did do a little drip media, and that seemed to be encouraging for media exposure. I don't know if people are familiar with drip media. That's in the restrooms and the area
We're
around.
familiar whether we realize it or not.
Correct. And one of our board members came up with something like that. It was interesting, the effect that really that you got from there. But we get a lot of people from with the butter carving event. They're like from Verona, Madison. It's just amazing that the we also get people from up north and things like that. But I had people. I was working in the office this year, and had this couple came in and said this is the nicest fair they've had, and I says, well, thank you. They enjoyed the cars and tractors, things like that, and just the displays in the Bierman building. And I said, well, where are you from? And they were from Wisconsin Rapids. I says, well, how did you hear about this? We saw it on TV. So our advertising paid off, and they said, we'll be back. So I was excited to hear that.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr. Wendorf, not from the Tourism Commission, but from the Fair Board standpoint, we ended up, the Knights of Columbus were in charge of parking there, and I walked through the parking lot. I should have gone every day, but I didn't, and took pictures of cars from out of the state, okay? If I may, Tennessee, Texas, Illinois, of course Wisconsin, there's another Illinois vehicle, Colorado, Minnesota, Texas again, Missouri, New York, Florida, Connecticut, and coming from all over. Yes, they may be people from Merrill that are coming back to see family and friends, but I mean, we're getting people from all over the country to come back for the fair.
And we know we have vendors that stay for the week in motels. I'm sure Gary can say, I know you're not really out front, but we can see what the numbers are.
And that's one of the nice things about having hotel representation back here again. Gary, do you see, is the hotel full during the fair? Yeah.
It's a busy time, but yes.
But is it-
fair.
And I know that we used to always ask Russ Griefey this question all the time too, but so naturally you would have an influx of people staying in your hotel anyway, but you do notice people from the fair that finish filling it out?
Yep.
So obviously this one and the rodeo are 80% of our entire
Yep.
ask. This year we're in a good position budgetarily speaking, but it is important to note that we also need to proportionally fund the biggest events with funding, and they need, we hope that you put it in the right. The one thing, did you fill this application out? So I gotta say this again, the advertising plan, was there more to the advertising plan? Like, well, it says, see attached sheet, we are using 2 TV stations to broaden our coverage with cable TV. Was there anything that was?
And it's not, wasn't attached? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, and I'm
Something
more
to
so,
find out expensive.
Pardon?
This is the only thing I have that's attached to
was your,
it. It doesn't elaborate, it just, it gives the
Okay.
dollar amounts, but it doesn't elaborate what that meant, where it was, or
Okay.
where the TV advertising was.
All right, the TV advertising that we did was Channel 7 and Spectrum on the cable, and Channel 12.
The Spectrum went across northeast
Yes.
Wisconsin.
that's what you did or what you're doing?
That's what we did.
That's what we did.
What are you doing? So this is
And
your
that will be,
proposed,
we will continue to do that.
and then
with
something in addition to that, or?
In
So
ad-
we're giving you 4,000, if you're requesting 4,000
in
more
ad-
dollars, where's that go?
Right, in the addition to that, we're looking at doing more with the TV with Spectrum and the drip media.
Expanding out the Spectrum
Yes.
reach instead of just down to Rapids and Stevens Point and things like that, maybe attaching it to Madison or Milwaukee or La Crosse or Eau Claire.
And those would be the things, at least
Yeah.
personally, that I would be looking for is, you're
That's,
requested 16,000, now asking 20,000.
Correct.
This
And I
question here
understand that, yes.
is the most key on this is, if asking for 4,000, where's that 4,000 gonna
correct,
go?
I understand
Anybody else have questions?
Not with the fair, but the rodeo brings people in from all over the country also. From the Midwest, from Iowa, Kansas, all over to participate in the show and to watch the show.
Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, my cousin's come up for that from Missouri.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
So any suggestions?
If in fact you want to maintain $20,000 in the checking account, $25,000 in the checking account, 13, you need to come up with somewhere around $15,000 out of here, okay? Out of these requests, or out of the budget down here that I submitted from the chamber side. So you can come up with about $13,000 to $15,000 less than what's in here, okay?
Okay. So what if
So-
we meet in the middle here for if that gives us a good contingency? 18.
Can we revisit, because I'm thinking rodeo,
Yep,
we're gonna have
yep.
the same, we're gonna ultimately probably have the
Yep.
same kind of conversation with these two largest of the requests. I think in a perfect world, we often agree that it makes sense to just, if we have the money, to give the money, but if we are trying to shape it off to have that contingency, let's leave this one with sort of around in that number until we have the rest of the conversation and we can decide if we need to shave off of what, because if
Sure.
we find out one of the other ones on here is, we don't think
And
is.
I will abstain from this.
So I'm kind
From
of
the
thinking,
voting.
leave it
Yes.
there with an asterisk that we're not quite,
Okay.
Okay.
in my opinion, not.
You want to leave
absolutely
these two alone and just go through the other ones for the time being?
Well, we can have the conversation
Yep.
about them, but I think not kind of make that for sure.
Decision.
We really feel about this because it may be that there's another obvious or not even remotely obvious
Yeah.
conversation that takes place with the rest.
I agree, that's a good idea. So if everybody's okay with that, then let's go and we'll have the discussion with Lincoln County Rodeo for their application. Again, last year they asked for 20, were granted 16, and spent 16. This year they are asking 25. Again, I think it's very safe to assume that the fair and the rodeo have probably the largest impact and economic impact on our community. So that's the part, for people that are watching. It proportionally speaking, it costs a lot of money to run these things. It costs a lot to promote them, and in return, they bring a lot of visitors to our community and overnight stays. Gary, I would assume that you get quite a few stays too from the rodeo.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different administration because the fair is localized, the administration of it, so you're all here already. My sense is that a lot of the administration of the rodeo comes in from out of town. So they block rooms each year for their administration. It's 12, 15 rooms a year.
Yeah.
And beyond that, there's others that stay with this rodeo operation that stays for around 12 or 15 rooms.
I think the administration of when you say, it might be some of the performers that might be in the rodeo. I know that the administration is done with Mr. Block.
Yeah, he comes in, he's the one, he stops in.
Yep, he's the one that takes care of
He
everything.
blocks the room, so I don't know what he uses them for. I assume it's the administration. of
Yeah, the
rodeo.
professional, the PBR.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I happened to being visitor guides around that time, or after the rodeo, to the Borders and Suites and asked them how it went for there. And the lady at the desk, she says, well, we didn't have as many rodeo people this year. So maybe they changed where they were staying. That was just her checking in people, and that she said we didn't have as many. So.
Well, and sometimes too, especially activities and events in the summertime, I know that same weekend used to be, and we now moved it, the traveling baseball tournament, so we moved it to the weekend before.
Correct, and I think that was a great idea.
Well, we figured we've been doing ours longer than the rodeo. That tournament's been going on for a long time, but there's no sense fighting that. If we can fill up our hotels completely on 2 weekends, why fight? Because there was, and everyone in our surrounding area, Wausau's hotels were getting filled up by the people that were coming in for the tournament. Tomahawk was getting filled up, so at least that
Capitalize
helps.
on it.
Yeah. So yeah, 25,000. Looks like their radio coverage.
Digital billboards,
Yeah,
Appleton and Green Bay.
I know they've been pretty aggressive in what they're looking to do.
They do a good job of advertising. They did have a event sponsor back a little bit this last year. It's not, Mr. Swartz pointed that out to me. They had event sponsors, it was at $14,000, now it was at $1,400, so. For whatever reasons, I couldn't tell you who it was, but I remember them saying so.
Okay. So we had the discussion. Anybody else have any other? We'll leave this earmarked the way that it was, and then see where we finish up. Everyone okay with that? Okay. All right. Next on the list is the Merrill Concertina Festival. Asked for $450, received $450, spent $450. Every year they have a very modest ask, and they spend what they're given.
It's a 2-day event, right?
I'm comfortable with approximately exactly $425.
I agree. This one's
Yeah,
Yes.
Kind of an interesting, fun,
Mhm.
and not terribly expensive,
Yeah.
so.
okay. 4, 2,
You know, and as you say, they generate 5 to 15, they're feeling.
Yeah, it's a unique
I know it is.
unique event. And like others too, I wouldn't mind seeing, you know, this is getting nitpicky, but some of these have their budget or a revenue expense report it'd be nice to see some detail. And I know we're only talking 425 here, but this would be one too, where maybe this would be such a niche-y thing that you could get more people that could come here. We have tourism grant, hall rental, flyers and radio. So, you know, $315 for radio. I don't even know how they do that. And I read the thing.
$10 for 30 seconds.
Yeah,
That's not possible.
it isn't. So I don't know.
You know.
And I know this because we
Uh-huh.
purchase radio ads and stuff like that too. But I mean, I would almost be inclined to tell them to ask for a little more if we could have them do a radio ad somewhere else or something. But it's their show. So all right, everyone okay with concertina? Moving on, we have ice draggers, and they last year asked for 5,000, were granted 4,000, and spent 37,0750, and a lot of that was due to the unfortunate weather for them that they had with ice conditions were really good, really bad, and everywhere in between, and never really shored them itself up. So looks like they have an ambitious new goal in mind. They want to come back bigger and better than ever. I read their packet here, and they have some pretty good ideas, and they're looking to invest, have us help them invest a little bit more in that. So I know at least it sounded like they consistently bring a few, you know.
Yeah, it's an interesting group. I actually helped start it back in '65.
You did?
Yeah. So kind of went slack for a while, but it's been continued existence. But what was surprising to me in the last couple of years, from watching what was going on, they've got people coming from all over the United States. It's just unique. You know, I have car buddies down in Georgia, and I talk about drag racing on ice, and they go, "What? You know, how do you do that?" So it's very unique. People come from a long distance. I agree, it's not as big as other things that are happening in Merrill, but it has reach.
It has a niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And where we're at, I mean, at least I see on Fridays there's people that are starting to come out, and you know, there's people that stop in by us Fridays or Saturdays for skating and other things. But we do get visitors that drop in and want to see what else is going on when they're here for ice drags. So
And you see an influx of people too, I would think at the,
Not
not
using the
staying,
park.
not staying there, but a lot of people traveling through there. Or is the gate closed?
The gate's not closed. They use the park road primarily to access the race location, but the race location is not in the park, and the folks going to the race aren't coming to the park. They're going to the races. That's it. I'm not finding what you're finding with that. It's not that somebody doesn't stop, but their time out for us is on the ice. That's why they're there.
it's exposure, I guess you could call it exposure. to the
Right.
park.
If they see it and they otherwise would want to come back and do something else on a day that's what they're thinking about, they'll know it's there. But,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. It's not as people. The assumption is that it's a big thing for the park. It's really not. It's
a drive-through.
It's not. It's
Yes,
a drive-through.
it's
They're
a
driving
drive-through.
through. They're just that's the reality of it.
Yes.
But the park is getting viewed by a lot of people.
It is. Whether or not they
The-
come back,
the-
I don't know.
yes.
Correct.
May I
But it's a
ask,
state park
is-
that they can say
Is the
that.
fight over?
I wasn't involved in the fight.
I
I don't know.
I shouldn't. This is the first year.
I saw
for
the
me.
expense in there is still going on, so I wondered if the
Yeah, I
fight
did
was
too.
over or not.
Well, somehow I usually get wound up, wrapped up in it over the last 3 years, and knock on wood, I haven't heard anything this year yet. Normally it's about this time of year, so I hope so.
Okay.
So is everyone okay with the 75, or do we? I'm okay with 75 if it fits for right now. Okay. All right. Moving on. Next on the list is Black Squirrel Scurry. And I know he put my name on here, but they use our parks and help them with a couple of things. But this is Greg Eichelkraut and his Black Squirrel Scurry thing. I know that this last year they had their best attendance that they've had. I think it takes a little while with something that's unique like this to get your hooks into an audience and reel them in, and then get them to do the same. And I think that through Eichelkraut's persistence, he's starting to do that. There is so much potential for this one to grow just because of the uniqueness of it and what we can do and what he has taken it from year one to where we stand right now. I know that his request again was 1,000. I sent him an email this morning or yesterday after we sent that. I copied you guys in, but they spent well beyond that. And what they do, he just has to turn this in. But I think it's 1,000. And again, I'm need to abstain on this because I probably will just because. But it's a good event, and I know that the money that they do spend, he will use in markets that are well beyond us. And I do know that we get people coming from near and far for this. So.
From a chamber side of things with the destination guide, again, we're going to try and emphasize the silent sports, the hiking, paddling, and biking areas. And that when we've gone to all of these trade shows, people are looking for bike maps, they're looking for hiking trails, they're looking for horseback trails, he doesn't deal with horses, but I mean they're looking for those types of things. And it's and Mrs. Gilbert over there is shaking her head yes, and she sees a lot of that, I'm sure, in the state park with kayaking and things of that nature. And we need to, the asset that we have here, the Wisconsin River, the Prairie River, and a lot of the lakes and streams around here is just huge to get people to come here, in my opinion.
It's important to tell people about it and show them.
I think I'm noticing on what he's got as the advertising plan listed in this is also a bit more like what we've been talking about. The Facebook posts, they've got listed other states, Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa. And the number, I'm assuming that noticed by 23% was 23% of the people who they talked to at the event or that registered, perhaps?
Yes, I think.
So we're finding out kind of where, I like the fact that we're
Right.
finding out where what they're advertising or where what they're promoting is doing, including, magazines elsewhere, digital media outside of the 100-mile radius. So this one again makes sense to me because it seems like, we're getting that information. People are coming in for an event like that. They're probably staying. If they're coming from
Right.
more than an hour
And
away,
as
they're
you say,
probably
They
staying.
have, some are camping, some are in the motel,
Right.
I like kind of how he was able to put a percentage down.
Yeah.
But if it's a smaller group and you can kind of fill out that survey and say, where did you stay
And a
in?
bit like talking about, people coming through the park for ice drags, even though they may not stay then. This is the same kind of group that gets up here, goes, oh, look, Ice Age Trail segment.
Correct.
I want to do some trail running while I'm here, or I want to paddle the Great Pineries Trail while I didn't know that was here. And since they're coming for this and from farther, this one makes sense to me. Again, not a huge dollar amount, but an appropriate amount of impact for
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone okay with the original request of 1,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Moving on, next one is Iron Bowl, and this one would be for the Underdown Trail races. I think there's actually the next two are related. But we'll treat them as separate. Yeah. So back to the silent sports thing. I do know because I work with them just to make sure that they have what they need. from a city standpoint, up at the city forest, this is a strong organization that's getting stronger by the week. Honestly, they are they have some tremendous momentum. They are turning themselves into a silent sport monster, which is a great thing. And it's just my opinion. It's wise to work with them and hitch our wagons to them because they have some grand ambitions, and I think that the silent sport locations that we have to offer fit right in with what Andrea and her crew is trying to do. So this is a very modest ask
Request.
for, yeah, and I know that their attendance has been on the rise, and they do some pretty cool things. So I guess for both the trail ride and the fat tire bike ride, I mean, is everybody okay? Those are
Yeah,
pretty
I
easy.
agree.
Yeah,
900 and then the 250.
correct.
Okay. Okay. And then next is Carry the Cross. This one came to us late last year, and we had a special meeting to discuss this. We did.
And if you recall, it was a general range from $1,000 to $10,000 request.
Oh, that's right. That
Yep.
was.
So it looks like, yeah, we gave them 1,000, and they spent 1,000, and they are asking for 1,500 this year. So did we? Is this impactful? I mean,
What did they say? Well, they have generate 50 to 100 overnight stays, but I think that's very interesting
yeah.
that because you know, we as the fair,
Right,
Do-
probably.
We have a
Yes,
total
that
of
would be
159 rooms in the city of Merrill
that are able to be used, that are open to the public.
yeah, so,
Yeah, right. Yeah, putting that into putting it that way, relating it to that does seem like kind of a lot.
yeah.
Well, and I think there was only, in there, did it say that they only had one band last year? And
Correct.
again, I think it's important to work with groups like this that are ambitious, that want to do things, because this, again, could be,
It's something different
Yep.
to bring different individuals to the city.
yeah. So, on the advertising plan, including types of media, it looked like it says local TV stations, 89Q, 88.5, photo news and affiliates, social media, posters, flyers, website. So, again, and this is always difficult, because God bless every one of them for doing this, but, I think we're looking for that information that says, again, we're gonna ask them for $500 more than we did. In addition to last year, we want to invest this $500 into going in the Eau Claire market and doing, a small something and a little radio snippet or something like that. But it's always difficult, and I know that's what everyone wants to do, is your local TV stations, radio, and social media.
Have to
That's the
expand.
broadest statement that you can make. You want to advertise more in all media outlets that exist. Besides drip.
Yeah.
I learned something today. So, I guess,
I'm just looking at what they had on their budget for actuals, what they were spending it on.
yeah, I looked at
They
that.
had
Huh.
TV ads, WJFW and Cozy, COZI, which I'm not familiar with, is
I'm not
1,000. And 89Q and 88.5 was 1,250. And then posters and ads and printing was 800. But I don't,
Yeah.
But like you said, that without targeting exactly what that's gonna mean.
Yeah. So, what's your pleasure? We want to dangle a carrot and try to give them 15, or do we go back to the original 1,000 or
I'll say 1,000.
1,000? I'm okay with that.
Because we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
We'll have to shave some
Yes,
off
I
at some
know,
point.
I'm just,
Does anybody have any issues with going back? Okay. Gary, you okay?
Mer-
Okay. Next we have food
food truck.
Truckapalooza is up next. And last year was the inaugural year. Good job, Hallie is in attendance here. That's a cool and a unique event to our community. Food trucks obviously are things that are exploding nationwide and on the planet for food creativity and mobility. I think that's a cool way to capture that essence here in Merrill. So last year was 1,000 and 1,000, and we're looking to bump that up to 1,500.
Hallie, I have a question. I highlighted the number of generated night stays. You have 1 to 2, so that means 1 to 2 people stayed?
I have no idea with it being the first year.
Okay.
It's hard for me to say. I know we had people as far away as Hayward
Uh-huh.
that came. I don't know if they drove back or if they stayed.
I think that's a reasonable guess, though.
I,
From the
We-
little I know, I would think, most of them, they're not gonna, they're probably gonna head home, but it doesn't mean, I think, perfectly reasonable to assume.
depending
there's-
on where their next venue is.
Right.
Right. And I can say that I had an ATM there, and besides the cash that people brought, we went through $4,800. So they
Right.
spent
They're
money.
spending, yeah, because they're there. I mean, but even the vendors are committed to being there, and the people who are coming are maybe coming for something else. But this is one of those value-added kind of easy for me. You're the one doing it, but value-added kind of events that just makes an experience in a community deeper, I guess.
I know we had, at our district fair board meeting was held before this event, and we had different counties talking to us from Lincoln County, asking about that, and they were coming down to get food trucks to come to their fair.
Okay.
That's what they were looking for. That's why they came down. So that I can say
It's good.
So that was exposure
it was exposure.
Mhm.
Yes,
For the community.
correct.
in the just general area. I
Mhm.
mean, for
Right.
those fair associations come from a distance
Yes.
to
These
check out something.
correct. These
in
were
the spring.
from both of them were from the northern. It was Florence or Price.
Marinette.
They were some of the northern ones, but I says I'm happy that you're coming.
Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. This is a good one that has a chance to continue to grow. Have you reached out? I mean, the retention on the food trucks that were there?
I have the food trucks that were there plus 7 more that are waiting to get in.
Yeah,
That's telling.
that's what I was hoping. I mean, the ultimate goal should be to fill that entire thing up with food trucks and.
And with the campground, we have 20 more spots that we can fit if we want to. I don't know that we'll go that big because I want to make sure that it's worth it for the food trucks.
Yeah, at some point.
Limit the number of participants.
At some point, you have to have some level of
And create that
what's the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
Uniqueness, but
waiting list.
Exclusive.
Like, it's the
Exclusivity.
time of the year that
Right,
everything's
because
going on.
Yep.
Right.
Let it go.
But that's what we do at the fair. Is
That's a lot
you
of
say
soul.
you do not want to have 3 corn dogs or 3 hamburgers.
Right.
You have to have a variety, so everyone has a niche.
Yep. And there's
to-
people that have different taste buds too.
Correct. You do have to have that, but you can't have the same, everything the same.
Yeah.
3 Mexican trucks you can't have.
Different stuff. Depends on what they're serving too.
Yeah.
So will we go to a 1,500?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Next is Mud and jams, mud and jams. So, let's see, this is their first time requesting funds. They are requesting $5,500. So I do, my first reaction on it, budget-wise, it looked like we got a check register or a copy of what the checkbook looks like.
Yes, yes.
Detail is, it's not difficult, it's almost impossible to tell what, how to discern what is what in here. I did see the last thing that you had sent out, Cheryl, to us. The revenue generated during our event as a result of dollars donated by the participants. West Side Market, which is fine and dandy, but they do this. They do this.
So they do
So-
have dollars in the advertising plan text
Yeah.
for what they intend, but
Right. So I can.
still quite local.
Is this like motorcycle rides?
I've participated in it. So it's an ATV, UTV ride, generally for mud and jams. They do a poker run, they stop at different local established.
Rally.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it's like a mud bog races or is
Nope,
it?
it's normally a
what you-
charity.
So it's not like they use the fairgrounds and use
No,
it, okay.
I know like the proceeds go towards, I think 2 years ago it went to Brantley Clark, who had kidney cancer. So it's a charity run.
And they pick a charity at the time where
They're in need, yeah.
where they're in need. At this time, they probably don't have any idea what they're going to do, but some need will come up. It's true.
Yeah.
So it looks like here on the present your advertising plan, the plan was 2,500 local radio advertising, which includes JJQ, also JJQ, WDEZ, WBCV of Wausau, 2,500 local TV advertising, WAW, JFW, Rylander, 500 local newspaper. So, I mean, if we're looking at visitors on this, is this one that I would be comfortable at 2 or 25 to invest in the outside, not the inside? But does this draw overnight stays?
How many individuals participate? Okay, well,
It's hard for me because I support it.
oh, but
but
that's okay.
I think 2 years ago when I was a part of it, they had 25 ATV, UTVs. They're all with truck and trailers. But a majority of those I saw were local.
Yeah, and that
Again, it still doesn't mean that whole
Right,
depth of
right.
experience. Doesn't, yeah.
Correct.
I just don't know. I don't know that my hesitancy is dollar amount per for that. For what it is the question is what can it be, and is spending the amount of money that's being requested going to do it, or is it still likely largely going to be a local event that's a benefit event? But
this is something that could be huge, really
could be
big too.
eventually.
Same as,
Yes.
I mean, this is on the lines of pickleball and some of these other things that the ATV, UTV industry, along with silent sports, is exploding. So, you know, again, if I think we should invest in this, but say, please get this out. We want it. So if we're raising money for good charities here, there's so many people that are outside of this. Come on and be a part of this, and while you're riding, you can help with these charities too.
Is the Tourism Commission for Lincoln County or the city?
City. The money that we receive from this just comes from the
It
room
comes
tax
from-
of the 3 hotels.
Most of the places they visit are out in the country because of the ATV, UTVs.
Yeah, but so we also look at, because
The heads and
Gleason
beds.
has done some things, and we're looking at the spillover effect. You know,
Okay.
if they're coming here, they're gonna have to stay somewhere. They're gonna have to fuel somewhere before they go to their, remote destination.
Right.
But there's there's an ancillary effect, that a positive effect to
Mhm,
Merrill.
for sure.
So,
It's exposure. We're
Yeah.
just wanting them to come, see, as you say, what we do have to offer, but we want people from, Wisconsin Rapids to come up, Shawano,
Mhm.
places like that.
Mississippi,
Correct.
Bama,
Yeah. I will say 2,000.
it's our first time, but I think, it's a good thing to invest in. Everyone okay with 2? Okay. Let's see, next up, Everything Goes sales event. So this one, this one is they rent the Smith Center Arena, and they put it's a flea market craft fair type thing. It's they sell it all out. All we do is rent it and then get out of their way. I don't know the ins and outs of this. Apparently, I think I saw on there that the proceeds of this, not that it's a qualifier or a disqualifier, Town of Russell Fire Department fundraiser, if I saw that correctly.
That's correct. I did see that also to the right.
So,
Was last year the first year for this?
yes. So last year was the first year that they officially organized. That it was organized. I guess the year before I think it was the same people kind of put something together. It was not that organized. It started as more of a few different groups of people that had some stuff, and they were looking for a big space to just team up and do it, and it grew. Here's one too where again, advertising plan. There's a lot of stuff on here that looks like they would want to do, but so Channel 7 and Channel, their events pages are free. Those aren't, unless there's 80 and 65. There's free listings in a lot of different places. This is one that's most likely not generating an overnight stay. Not I did. 9 to 3, it's plenty of time to get here from wherever you are, and it's over with before it's time to eat.
Well, unless the vendors have big enough displays that they'd want to not or set up and tear down.
It could be, yep.
But I haven't
But
been to
they
it, so I
have-
don't know.
I'm sure they have to be out though because you only rent it for the day.
Correct.
Oh, that's what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
if their tear down takes them until 6 o'clock and they're
Right.
trying to get out, they may
Correct.
not want to drive home if they've come from
I understand what you're saying.
from a couple
Sarah.
miles away. But
I
Yeah.
understand, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah, this one I thought was interesting.
Yeah. So I guess that brings up my next point on this one, and maybe I think we may have to have an official. I'll talk to the city attorney about this. Do we have to, or if we don't, should we make sure that people that are requesting these are legitimate organizations? I know we ask for employer ID number, and it says this is in no way, shape, or form meant to slight the applicants on this one, but there's no tax ID number. They're not a nonprofit. They're not an official organization. It's this person and this person.
Correct.
They could fold tomorrow or not do it tomorrow. And again, it's reimbursement, so we're not out anything if they don't spend anything. But I just think that some of is this something that everybody's comfortable giving money to non-official organizations or entities?
I'm not comfortable.
I know my answer to that, but I'm only just one person.
I think that's what made me a little bit not nervous necessarily, but
Hesitant.
have a pause
Yes.
about this one was, it's not necessarily like the others all have some kind of organizational structure behind it, and this one is people asking for the money, which maybe it's okay, but
Yeah.
I kind of feel like
Well, I
that's a
guess
question.
one thing that stood out with me, only contact this person. Don't ask anybody else about it. It's like, okay, I just,
Is that on the flyer?
oh yeah.
The
that
reason
is-
they,
Okay.
sorry for interrupting, but on Facebook, if you, like, I made my Food Truckapalooza page and I made my advertisement, I had probably 50 other people say that they are running that special event. Email them, email them. So on that flyer, it's the same one that she used for Facebook, and that's why she has that written on there. Because otherwise, a whole bunch of other spammers come on and say, message me. I had that problem with quite a few people. Well, we messaged so-and-so. I'm like, I'm the only person.
Okay, that's, okay, thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying that.
So, I guess going back to that though, then the point behind this would be this. I would feel better if this was Town of Russell Fire Department. It was the applicant's name, and then the person, the name of the person filling it out is the person that's doing this. But at least it, again, I don't mean it disrespectfully, but it legitimizes the ask, because it's for the Town of Russell Fire Department, which is again a good
An
entity, and it's they obviously serve a very important role in our community and surrounding community. And then, does this draw overnight visitors? But my main question is legitimate entity.
No, you're talking about a liability issue. I agree with you.
Yeah, and then on the flip side too, if we do that, and again legally I don't know. I tried to ask Tom, I couldn't get a hold of him before. But if we do this, then Gary, you and I, just two buddies, we flip an application in next year and ask for funding for our thing, whatever thing we come up with. We don't need to be an organized or a legitimate.
Having a family reunion, and there's going to be people coming and staying.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Because technically you are correct.
Yep.
They're bringing heads to
Right.
in the beds.
There may be more people staying in hotels, but ultimately supporting a family reunion probably isn't the best use of the dollars.
Yeah.
So
The other side of the issue, we're dealing with public money.
Yes. We are. So, what is your pleasure? We can do as we wish. Actually, legally, I don't have that answer yet. I don't know if we can fund them or not. I don't know what your pleasure is. We can say yes or no. We can, if anybody feels strongly about trying or splitting the difference, like make sure that I follow up with city attorney and then let everybody know what.
I'm not comfortable.
Not
They don't have a board or a group of officers or anything.
no. What we see is all.
Just,
I'm not comfortable.
maybe just tell them they gotta have some kind of organization.
Yeah.
Can't be individuals. Then you have
I guess with
everybody, anybody put an application.
The information
Mary Lane
that,
could do that every time he wants an auction on it.
Yep.
Richmond Center.
There's people that come in.
with the information that we have at this time, I do not feel comfortable of dispersing anything else.
When I look to the ordinance, chapter 18, article 2, section 18 through 36 of the City of Merrill ordinance, it said the principal organization, which is this, Tourism Commission, for the purpose of promotion of convention and tourist business, and shall distribute the monies. Tourist business.
Are they gonna create tourist business?
Yeah, and those are all subjective answers. But on the flip side, that beyond that, it would be considering doling out money to a
Private entity.
private. In this case, it's a private entity.
I think that still would be a good question to ask from legal advice on whether or not it's okay in the end to reimburse a private individual for money that has been granted, I should say. Ultimately, will that work? Yes or no? And then the question becomes something different. And is there, if this becomes that it's something, there is an official organization that's willing to do it, is that partway in between time when we would consider an event that, I mean, we could ask that too, that it be revisited potentially
Yeah.
if they resolve it. And it sits with us differently.
And honestly, even if it was flipped, right? If it said the town of Russell Fire Department is looking at doing this, and then add some more detail. These two individuals could be the people that are doing it on behalf of
Correct.
them. That
And then
sure.
Money just goes to
Correct.
And then at that point, then you have the debate further as to, well, what are you going to do to bring in more visitors to the area? And they had a good crowd. These things are growing like crazy too. So it's another big void that we can fill, because we seem to do that pretty well here. We have some spaces that really cover craft fair as well. So is everybody okay with that for right now? We will go 0. I'll try to get some answers on this, and then I think maybe in the meantime, Cheryl, when you do your awards, just say that we will potentially revisit it, but here's why. Because it is not comfortable awarding funding to I guess a non-entity is what it is. Okay, last but certainly not least is the fireworks. And this is the first time application from Mayor Haas, $16,000. So really isn't much to this. I did see it come out in the municipality magazine as well. There was some the usage of room tax has been a moving target since it first came out. Initially they made such a tight, narrow window on what you can fund and what can't be funded that I think several municipalities, a lot of them were frustrated because it allowed not very much flexibility for a community to work with event organizers or work within the confines of doing anything other than just pipelining this money to certain events if they met these criteria. So now, through lobbying and whatever other resources they could come up with, they have broadened the definition of what does qualify for room tax funding. And fireworks is
Underlined.
it is underlined in there. That's true. There's some further down on the page that was included in there with that can be, but there's also, that you could face $3,000 fines and other things like that if you start to paint in the gray area, which we are not in this instance. So
Is that somebody's interpretation of the law? Because I read through the statute this morning, I didn't see fireworks.
So that's why it's still gray, but this would be the League of Municipalities,
Okay.
their legal guy's opinion on it. I had Tom look at it too. So we can, because it's investing in an event. It's a community-wide event. So, but then that therein lies, do we as a tourism commission, I have a thought on this one, but I always have to be careful because I ask for funding because we are a department with the city. But this is asking if I'm understanding this correctly, for the entirety of the
event.
event, the entire
Correct.
cost for our
Is that right, Mike?
4th of July fireworks.
Is that right? Go ahead, council
It is
member.
right.
Is it
Mhm.
$16,000?
Yes, yeah.
Right. That's, so this is what the council has budgeted, and before you make sure the budget is set, we'll see what's here and say, okay, if we get any money from the tourism, this is what we got, so do we want to continue to keep this money, the 16 in the budget, or are we just gonna say, this is all we're gonna use? Am I correct?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well-
Yes, okay.
So,
I've talked to the mayor about
I,
it. I've talked to the mayor about it, so, yeah.
yeah. But here's just a creative thought on this one, and we have our alderperson representative here, so don't cut me for suggesting this, but, so, if the city was gonna invest 16,000, and I hope that it isn't the intention of us funding it and then them dropping that to save 16,000 on the city budget. I would bet, sorry, don't cut me, because we're not done with the budgetary process, but I would think this might be a unique opportunity for the Tourism Commission to challenge the city and vice versa, where we both could save a little bit. What if, find a number where we say, yeah, we'll kick in 12 if the city maintains 12. They save 4,000 on what they were gonna budget. We save 4,000 on what we would maybe have to budget. The community benefits by getting $8,000 more worth of fireworks. It's just a thought, or I don't know if we can challenge that back, or, if we say 12,000, are they gonna then cut that number down to 12,000? I haven't been the good luck charm at our first two
Well,
budget meetings, so.
What we can do is we can put in a condition that we will do X amount of dollars if the city does this, or it matches
Match.
this, or above.
Can I throw a wrench into this in a more foundational level?
Yeah.
This application specifically talks about marketing. And everything else we've talked about has been about marketing dollars. And I think the city's ask is more, while probably not outside of the realm of the Tourism Commission, certainly, isn't about marketing dollars. So I almost think that from a procedural perspective, this isn't the right place for this money to come out of, or the conversation to be had. I think it needs to be a separate agenda item, whether or not the pool of money that we're working with should go toward something of this nature with the city, because what they're asking for is for the event, not for marketing. And everybody else is asking for money based on marketing. So I don't know if this is the right place for the conversation about it under this heading.
Yeah, so the difference is that this is the city of Merrill that has established the
Right.
Tourism Commission, so we are intimately related, and this is a justifiable expense
Right.
on there. So yeah, as far as then stipulating this back, that was, yeah, do you have that discussion? Is this something that,
Right, do we pull this money out from the pool that we're considering for advertising and put it in to this? I mean, I don't have any issue with the topic discussion, I just,
yeah,
is this where it is supposed to come from?
or if this is gonna be yeah.
Or if it's a recurring thing
Or
that we have.
Does this go down to,
kind of a
Or
separate
does it,
pool.
or does it go below that line of requests for advertising,
Yeah.
like Sarah, like Ms. Gilbert was saying, underneath other promotions? Okay,
Yeah,
for-
isn't another.
as other promotions for a line item for that.
so
And
that is,
because then, I believe you would be opening up the can of worms for, I want to put on this promotion, I want you to pay for the promotion, I'm not going to advertise it. Right?
yeah, well, and you remove
So-
it from the competitive
For
process.
the advertising part of things, right? Put it under the other promotions, similar to attending trade shows.
Right.
And, yeah, my thought only was, just thinking that if again, and maybe I don't know how to proceed with this one. I'll take anybody's suggestion too, whether we can leave this one open or somewhat open, but, you know, if you go down something in the neighborhood of 12 and 12, it saves on what they were going to budget, it saves on what we were going to budget, and the winners end up being, I mean, if we want to turn this into a bigger event, then people talk about it. Well, Renee left, but I think her and Chad, they said, went to Fifield last year. They wound up in Fifield on the 4th of July, and they had a massive fireworks display for a town that's the size of
Half a Gleason.
half of
Yeah.
Gleason. But you know, it's things like that people remember. And
And the
it might-
reason we have it on the 5th, is it easier to get someone to?
Last year was on the 5th.
Yes,
and
I
that
know it was.
That was because of the availability
Correct.
of the vendor. That's the first year in
Mhm.
maybe ever that
Yes.
we've not done it on the 4th.
Correct.
So,
But now,
Because of the same vendor.
yeah,
It's on the 5th.
so the 5th
And-
this year would be a Saturday.
I have heard, I don't know if it's true or not, if you have fireworks any time that are not on the 4th, you get more for your money than having it on the 4th. I don't know if
What do you mean more for
more.
your money?
Okay, so I'm going to spend $100 and I would get five boxes of whatever. But if I do it on the 7th of July, I spend $100. I'm going to get 8 boxes for the $100. That's what I've heard.
That may
But I
be the
don't
case.
know.
That may
I
be the
don't
case
know.
for firecrackers and
Right.
things of that nature. But for events like this, I don't think,
You don't. Okay, I don't.
because these are
I-
larger.
Mhm.
They're shooting big
Explosion
cakes and
devices.
stuff.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I understand.
But,
Right.
no, it's a good thought too. So, and again, it does. The Mark complex is full.
Oh.
They,
And I heard good things about it. I heard.
Yeah, no,
really
it's
good- yes.
it's full. It's a big crowd that we get. A lot of them, you know, 4th of July. We are the gateway to the Northwoods, so we do have a lot of people that peel in from wherever they're at, and they come and watch it, and then they go back to wherever they were at too. So it's you know, we had this discussion in our Park and Rec Commission meeting about food trucks and other vendors in there that you know we just don't. We've tried a number of times over the last number of years to do things that lead up to it. Earlier in the day, we did trike races, we had bounce houses, we had the pool open, we had the pool closed, we opened it partial. We found it not worth our time because we could not get anybody away from their cabins or the lakes or the jet skis or whatever they were doing
Mhm.
until we got to, you know,
Yes.
after that dinner time, and then we had people that would start rolling in, which is okay,
Mhm.
but it was an uphill battle for us, and we tried, like I said, a lot of different things that we thought were pretty creative to try and bring people in to get them in our area, and that's also in proof in the pudding is if you look at our books, our least reserved park shelter weekend of the entire year is always the 4th weekend.
Mhm.
People are going
And
down
you're
right
and you're
that
full.
way.
Oh yeah, we're full every weekend. So
But we don't get that is typically, unless there's an anomaly year, park shelter reservations are way down on the 4th. But-
So then, is the suggestion then we pull it from the application process and we put it under a separate line item for a specific dollar amount?
We can adjust. Yeah, what was it?
that's
I wanna,
that would be
That
my
would, I
thought.
think that would be the right thing to do because
Because it's not. I mean, they're
it's
not.
not an
asking
application for
dollars.
advertising or whatever. It'd be
It's not a
similar to
federal
what we do for trade shows and getting people to come to the community.
okay, and I think that's that way. They're not competing with everybody because they are competing to promote their events. They're looking. I also, and Mr. White, I still would stand by my suggestion, even if we're gonna do it this way, if we're gonna budget for this, I'd like to see the city continue to budget for at least near the half or a match of what we budget for. I think that the
think a
the
match
community
would be
benefits
fair.
from that tremendously, even if it's dropping it
This
down.
is the first year that they've asked for the complete amount. For the-
First year
First
they've
year
asked for
they've asked
anything.
Anything, yes.
Okay, Merrill should have some skin in the game, and it shouldn't be just
Mhm.
one
Yep.
entity.
Mhm.
Right, that's my thought.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a little difficult for me to say it because I do request
Yes,
funds, or we use all funds
That-
from the
I
city.
understand that, but from a logistics standpoint, that should not matter. That should not matter, if whatever we decide here should not matter if you're requesting funds from the city.
Sure.
It should not
I
matter.
know.
I'll be okay. One way or the other, I'll be fine. Trust me.
But,
Yeah. So, okay, so if we do that, it's still gonna count overall, but at least
It will.
from this standpoint, and we do have.
I
we do
can
have
put
that-
it under other promotions, underneath other promotions. You're suggesting an $8,000 number? Is that what you're asking? Or
Yeah.
telling me? What's that?
No number right now.
Oh, I thought you mentioned half. I didn't know, so.
can we put on there, can we make a stipulation that we,
You'd have to negotiate.
Go ahead, Sue.
well, if we put X amount of dollars, that the city at least match that, if not give more towards the budgeting of these fireworks?
I'm not on the commission,
I know
but I
that,
mean,
but
the application is for $16,000. I
Yes.
believe that the total cost of the fireworks is $16,000.
Correct, and I agree with you, Clyde.
So if they want the show of being $16,000, they're gonna have to throw money into it.
Yeah, yep, and that was again why.
That's what you believe too?
Yeah.
Why I suggested maybe, again, so we both look good on this is to go is to go 12 and 12. You know, if we budget 12 and then, you know, if the city would match, that still saves the 4,000 from the overall city budget, and it saves us 4,000 right off the bat from the request. The winners in this is everybody that comes to watch.
Because it's gonna
So
be
now
a
we have
bigger show instead of
Oh, yes,
16,000 or
exactly.
$24,000 worth of fireworks.
Yep.
For
And,
12 grand.
yep, the other
the
option
city's
is
correct.
if we stay if we say 16, you have to spend 16, then we have
Right.
32. That's a good. I don't know what that
I
means.
don't
If
know.
there's more whisker biscuits or whisker doos, sparklers, snakes,
No, bigger bombs.
bigger bombs.
Okay,
Up to
with I want, I guess I'll make a motion to budget $12,000 to the fireworks event, having the city at least budget 12,000, if not more, to the event. Can I do that?
Are we making a motion?
Well, yes, I made a
Okay.
motion to,
so I'll summarize. I think
$12,000. The city has to at least match it
yes,
to get the 12 grand. If the city's only gonna put 16, it'll be 8. Right?
correct.
Yeah, we're putting it to other promotions.
Yep. So to summarize, Sue's motion was. Well, actually, did we have a second? Actually.
No.
Let's summarize your motion first,
Okay.
and then we'll decide if we should
So,
second it.
Sue, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was to take the fireworks request and move it to other promotions, so that it's not
Yeah.
competing with the other event organizers for promotion. And that amount would be reduced from 16,000 down to 12,000, with the caveat that the city of Merrill matched that 12,000.
Correct.
At least match that, if not more.
Yep, at least match.
Well, they're not gonna.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Wicks. Okay, now we have discussion. Any other discussion?
So, you know the
So-
council.
I guess I do then, because without negotiation or until the final gavel drops on the budget hearing, what happens if the city budgetary process, they say no to funding? Do we then reconsider bumping that back? If it's
Then
continuing.
we'd have to meet again.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to have another meeting,
Okay.
okay? Because as of right now, I think this is just reflecting what we know today. Right?
I think
So if the
it's
city
fair.
decides that they're only gonna throw $8,000 into the fireworks display, then it's coming back, then we're saying we're giving them $8,000. Correct?
Correct,
Based upon your budget, based upon your motion.
correct.
From prior year experience, what, do you know roughly what the cost of a program like that is?
Okay.
So the cost has gone up, and our fireworks displays have always been in the $8 to $14,000 range, but over the last 3 or 4 years, those prices have. It's a decent show, but they're expensive. They're very expensive to do. So this is getting a good show, but it's nothing extraordinary. This is the cost. The cost to do.
Have a nice show.
Over here.
Yeah, this is the cost to do about what it was last year.
So this is
It's the
gonna
same
be-
cost from what I heard from other people. It was one of the best shows that Merrill has had.
Correct, I heard that also.
Okay, I see you did a separate line on it, we can put it here.
Like I said, this would give
Okay.
everybody, it's a win-win. We're investing in it. City continues to invest in it.
That's
And
$13,000.
like I said, I think the winners are
Probably
everybody
the-
that goes
so this-
there.
Correct.
If we can, we're
26,000.
immediately ahead.
Mhm.
So, great. So, any other discussion?
What's the justification that all that fell on tourism and the moon tax? The fireworks. What's the justification of that?
I think, I know that Mayor Steve saw it in the municipal magazine
Oh,
and did see that there have
that's an
been.
advantage to take
Yeah.
when you're in there. Huh?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is a good creative way to help. Everyone's trying to. We're doing it right now. We're trying to do more with less, and in this case, we're fortunate to have a good looking budget. And if we do what we hope that we're doing right now and work with the event organizers, we want to keep the hotels full. We want to keep people coming to Merrill. I mean, it's in our best interest to invest as much as we can in all
To
these
tell
things.
friends.
Yeah, and
others.
work with people, because that's what makes our community vibrant. Is if we can help people and our event organizers continue to work hard and we back them, and I mean, that's what keeps this whole mechanism going full circle year after year. So, and again, this might be something that we may have to revisit. I hope not, but Mr. Wikes, you're our council representative on Tourism Commission, and I'll be there too if there's any questions. But again, it's not meant to. At least I'm speaking on behalf of Sue, but I think that this is a unique way that we can both invest in a very popular event, and the winners are our community and the
Correct.
surrounding communities. I don't see a drawback in that.
Correct.
I would,
That's my intent too.
I would speculate that the reason that came through is because of some of the language of tourism promotion and development, and some attorney and judge said, hey, it's promoting tourism to come to that city by allowing fireworks displays, having the fireworks displays.
Yeah,
And
yep.
it could have been a legal, and the judge sided with them.
Yeah, there's gray areas around all of this stuff, but these are things that ebb and flow too.
Yep.
So, great. Any additional discussion before we vote on Sue's motion? Okay, is everyone comfortable with and remember the language? All right. Okay, hearing none, we will vote on the motion from Mrs. Kunkel. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are carried. Okay, so that will come out of there, and we will put that down in the other portion. of our other promotions. Okay, so
Let's give us a moment to add these numbers up.
I-
if you
I-
would.
I
You've
have
been
it in
doing
here.
it?
What was the total we were getting down to from?
If you wanted to get it down to the $25,000 number, 12, you'd be $13,000 cut from the request. So you got 4,000 right now from the fireworks, right? And $1,200 from Everything Goes. So that's what, 5,200 and 3,500 from
72,975.
Everything Goes.
With what we've discussed, including the fireworks, we're at 72,975. According to my computer,
Okay,
which I trust more than my own.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I agree.
that's cute.
So we're looking then
Okay.
between the rodeo and the fair to cut about $3,000 to $4,000 from that.
So that would get us there then if we would do, so let's say we do 3 out of that, if we take 15 and 15 out of each.
1,500?
Yeah.
It would.
Or, I mean, I'm open to however, if we want to spread that a little, I mean, again, that's 80%, but I know, again, we talk about, it always looks like that, but those have the largest economic impact. Because it's hard to take a percentage, we had this discussion a couple years ago out of concertina.
Right.
You squeeze in $4. 2 mints.
Oh,
Sorry, squeezing concertina. Thanks.
okay, let's just say
I
this
just got
is,
it.
okay.
So, what do we, if we want to get down to our goal, we'd have to try and trim 3,000, and the only two that we haven't.
I mean, I think that makes sense. There's logic in that.
So if we take
So we do
15,
18.5.
18.5 and 23.5, right?
3. Yep.
What's that, sure?
Okay,
Total 69,975, so just shy of 70,000.
$11 plus the 12 would give us roughly the 11 plus 12, $22,000 in reserve. Okay.
And then plan on a 5%
but
increase
if
in
we,
doing
if we
In
gave.
5%, yeah,
last year
increase,
we
have the
gave
city
both
increase
the
the room
fair
tax to
and the rodeo
6.5%.
the same amount. If we did that again this year, we would keep the 25,000 in the reserves.
Huh?
Last year, we gave the fair and the rodeo the same amount.
Like amounts. The year
Correct.
before the same. was the same.
Correct. And then if we did that, we would keep the 25 in the reserves, and I think that would be,
So,
depending on how some other things come in or whatever, I think that would be fair, but I will abstain.
In 2023, the fair and the rodeo each got 13.5. In 2024, they each got $16,000.
That's
And in
15 more.
2021, they each got $12,500. So, I mean, 13.5 and 16,000. So you've been,
Sometime.
but both events bring a significant amount of people to this community. But cutting it to $1,500 does that also for each one on the request. Obviously, they have specific ideas. That's why they threw the number out there.
so if you give them both 21, is that what you, if we give them both 21, you still accomplish the same thing?
Actually, and then over
But-
doing the fair's request.
Matches the precedents in other years.
Why are-
Yep, I don't think the fair's gonna say.
No, I just pointing
No.
that out.
It's still a conflict. Takes 3 off, but we're still even Steven. That's still, it's still 21 is still 5 more than last year from, it's a larger increase than what they had the previous year for the rodeo.
Yeah, each one will give $5,000 more, so that's almost a 30% increase.
That works too.
Of advertising.
It's just an idea, unless Sue's got to abstain.
Yes. I'm upset.
I know.
You know,
Gary, what's your thoughts? You think that if we meet in the middle for the, or somewhat, go 21 and 21?
I think that's fair.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
It's more than more than the fair asked for, right? Yes.
oh, correct.
I think it's still major support for both organizations.
Without a doubt. Okay.
Mark?
I agree.
So then, for the budgeting purposes, it's 21 and 21?
Yep. Overall, you're still saving 3, the 3 that we were looking for, to get us to the same budget number.
Okay.
Okay, so then overall is 69,975 is what we were, am I correct on that?
Yeah. That's what my computer says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
So is everybody, are we okay then with that number being 69?
Recognize that it's a deficit budget, and we're using some of the reserves to get this accomplished. And hopefully, the main goal is to increase the number of overnight stays, increase room tax to the community. If in fact room tax does not increase next year, these numbers will have to significantly change.
So then overall, are you guys comfortable with this number? I guess that's what we were working with.
Because really, we did not deny anyone.
Yes, you did.
Minimal, I mean, we were, paper cuts is what we
Yes.
did.
Except for the one that the Everything Goes sales event
Correct.
Yeah.
was pulled up.
Otherwise, what they wanted, well, yeah,
We
Community
sh-
Cross
we
we
shaved a
did.
little bit off.
Yeah, there we did, but otherwise, most of them are exactly what they had requested.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, but yes. We're still taking that with that money. There'll be a reserve at the end of next year. The checkbook will still have a positive balance, assuming the 87.5 is going to take place.
Yep, and history tells us that unless something goofy happens, that was still pretty
Unless we
conservative.
have no snow again or whatever. But I know that numbers have increased somewhat over previous year, except for one particular quarter, and well, at least in one quarter from one of the hotels. But that 87.5 is a number that has been consistent over the last 3 years, so I think it'll be fine.
I
Okay.
think it'll go up a little bit.
And it could go up a little bit if hotels increase their rack rate. Obviously, that little percentage comes in. Okay.
Okay.
And we can deal with what we have next year.
So then overall with that 69, what is our official, Cheryl, you have that tallied up so we can make our final motion? So we have 69,975 plus the remainder of that budget.
I came up with 58,000.
What?
50,
Wait.
no,
On the top here,
Yeah, 14.
We have,
instead of that 82,175,
it's 69,975.
is that what you have, Cheryl?
We have 14. 14 for the show, car show,
mhm,
21 for the fair, 21 for the rodeo,
mhm.
425.
7,500 for
Mhm.
the ice drags, 1,000 for the black squirrel scurry, 900, 250, 1,000,
Mhm.
1,500, 2,000,
Zero.
and 0
Mm-hmm. At this time.
You want to add everything up except for the 12. Is that what you're looking at? 57,975. But I don't have it subtracted from the other thing.
It's 57,975. Right?
Correct?
Correct.
And then down below, where the other promotions was total of $14,000, that number will now be $26,000. $26,000 plus 2,500 plus 40,000 plus 5,600 plus 57,975, 127,035. Minus 87.5. Where's my back button? Instead of that $56,000 negative, it'll be $39,535. And if you add that, that'll give you about, well, it's around $20,000 or so that could be in the checkbook balance. $25,000. Okay? If my calculations are correct.
That's what we want.
Okay, so our final number then, our final number is what?
For the grant applications is 57,975.
Yep.
Other promotions is 26,000.
Yep.
1,500. Everything, all of that comes to the bottom of 127,035. Is that what you have? You got 135. I missed 5,000.
I had 132.
It's 132,075. Yep, my mistake.
132. Just make sure I wasn't losing my mind before I spoke too loud.
Mm-hmm.
075. Is that what you have?
That's what I came up with, yes. Okay. So, I guess is anybody, so we can wrap this up here, we're starting to come up on the 2 o'clock hour. Does anybody else have any, before we make any final motion or motions, any questions, comments, concerns, feedback? Okay. So I guess if there isn't, then we could probably entertain a motion to approve, if somebody is so willing, the overall budget of 132,075. I'm not making it right now though, but and then with that maybe we'll just specify that number of 57,975 of that for our promotions.
I'll make a motion to accept the budget as stated at 132,075 as the total budget, with requests coming out of that at 57,975, and then other expenses 26,000.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion in a second, thank you. Any further discussion?
I'll abstain from the.
Sue's gonna abstain, okay.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Hearing none, all of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried. Please
One
note that.
abstained.
Yep.
One
Please
abstention
note
of the budget.
Sue Cockle will abstain from the vote.
Of the budget.
All right, we are all passed. Appreciate it, everybody.
Don't leave.
So next item is set date and time for the next meeting. Typically this time of year we'll leave it to the we'll call of chair or whatever. If we do need to get together, we will do that maybe a little bit more often if possible. But
Last year we met in June also. I think at that time I'll have the numbers from Travel Wisconsin on what the visitor spending has been for our community. So I can bring that, we can talk about that at the meeting then.
okay, and then I know
And we can update you as to what's taking place here with the budget too. Update the budget in June, every 6 months or something of that. It'll be 8 months now, but.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, so then that brings us to the last item, adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion
I'll second it.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, for all of your hard work on this. It's